Today I'm going to show you how to make veggie lo mein with tofu. Before we start cooking this recipe, there are a few food safety points we need to cover. First, ensure your workspace is clean. Before anything else, clear any clutter from the counter and thoroughly clean and sanitize your area. This will ensure you're working in a safe environment. The second thing I encourage you to get is a food thermometer. When cooking ground beef or proteins in general, using a thermometer is crucial. Temperature management is essential for safely preparing meat to ensure it's safe to eat. Before using the thermometer, make sure the probe is clean and sanitized. You do that by washing it with hot water and soap. Insert the probe into the food being measured and wait for the temperature to stabilize. First, we're going to put the tofu from bag number 1 onto some paper towels, and we're going to pat it dry just for a little bit. And the reason for that is that we're going to be putting it in a pan with some hot oil, and you want to eliminate the moisture from that. You don't want the oil to splatter back at you. Next, we're going to turn on our stove. So after a minute, we're going to put a very light spray. We're going to gently add the tofu back in to the pan. Okay, so tofu, when it comes in, it comes in sitting in water, so it's very fragile. And so that's why we have to, as you're turning this, just be very careful. And all we're really going to be doing is really just heating it up. Tofu's already cooked. So another reason for this is just to give it a little bit of texture, so the entire dish isn't just mushy in your mouth. So after we get it hot, we're going to remove it really fast. I'm just going to set it right there. Next, we're going to hit just about a tablespoon of oil. Then we're going to add the contents of bag number 2, or veggies. Then we're just going to stir that around just a little bit. Don't mess with it too much, but we'll just get some nice color on those, kind of soften up the veggies a little bit. We want it to still have just a little bit of crunch. And you can cook it to your preference. If you like it a little bit softer, you definitely go softer and just let it sit for just a little bit longer. But I want it just a little bit crunchy. And even if you need to, you could just hit it with just a tiny bit of water. That was maybe a tablespoon or so. And all that's doing is just kick-starting the softening process. So you're basically just going to cook the moisture out, but it gives it more of a vehicle to move around. So after the veggies are soft, you're going to want to open up bag number 3 and add the contents of that. So I'm going to add just a little bit more water. That was about another tablespoon. So the noodles are already cooked and your veggies are softening. All we're doing at this point is just reheating. So after about a minute or so, we're going to add the contents of number 4, which is your sweet chili sauce. And again, same thing. Give it a little stir. At this point, you can really start to smell the flavors from the chili sauce itself, and your veggies are softening at this point. So after a few seconds, we're going to add our tofu back in very gently. And we're going to kind of fold it. I don't know if you can see that. We're just basically taking the stuff from the bottom and gently putting it on top over the tofu. Just remember, our tofu is very fragile. Then And we're going to take the temperature, see if it's 165 degrees. Stir it around the bottom. You don't want to necessarily be touching the bottom, but as we can see, it's over 200 degrees right now. We're good to go. So after it's done, we're going to turn off our stove. Okay, so after we get our tofu plated, we're going to add bag number 5, which is going to be some green onions. They're just cut. We're just going to give it a little sprinkle. The onions add just a little bit of flavor, but the green part of the green onion is a little milder than the white. So the flavor is not as strong. And it also looks great. And here we have it, veggie lo mein with tofu.